Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you to the Fall Guy, a fun, electric, fast-paced trip through an over-embellished world where everyone is either a really sappy, emotional, but good-hearted, optimistic fellow, or a wicked, prideful, greedy hedonist. But no matter what type of fellow you are inherently very talented at karate, and at the drop of a hat, willing to carelessly be a hair away from death. And one of those sappy, optimistic, good-hearted fellows is Colt Seavers, a professional stuntman who is very competent at fighting and driving and parkour, and who is daring, reckless, fearless in the face of danger. Except he gets a little bit clammy and nervous when he's around pretty ladies. But not to worry, because Colt here is the man. He's on top of the world, having both the career and romantic success a young, strapping stuntman could only dream of. But after Colt's tragic accident on set, he becomes traumatized, losing both his stunt career and his relationship. Everything just seems so bleak for Mr. Colt. But then, one of his old producers wants to get him back on his horse, offering him a huge role, one of a lifetime, as a stuntman for one of the biggest blockbusters in history. Except Mr. Colt couldn't care any less. But Miss Producer Lady has an ace in the hole as she informs him that his old girlfriend, Emily Blunt, has just been promoted to director of the film and hooks Colt right in, giving Colt the prospect of taking both his career and his love life back. Except there's a catch. The actor that Colt is stunting for in this movie has gone AWOL. So Miss Producer Lady gives him a little bit of a quid pro quo. Colt gets the job opportunity to impress his sweetheart in exchange for tracking down and finding the movie star who's gotten in with the wrong crowd. And from there, two very charming actors go on a wacky yet suspenseful action adventure with some nice twists and setups along the way. There is a good bit of contrivances in the plot. It's not perfect, and there are also times where the silliness of the characters kind of undercuts the stakes and dangers of the scene. But overall, The Fall Guy has comedy and action that hits, and Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt give enough sincere emotion to bind the whole story together. And also, Ryan Gosling's sidekick is a very, very good boy. And as The Fall Guy is all about crew members for ginormous Hollywood blockbusters, the movie gets very, very meta on the current state of the industry, as it pits the good-hearted stuntmen and directors against the Hollywood actors who get a high off of their own farts, and the mustache-twirling manipulative producers, the evil ones who consider the audience primitive dogs whose only existence is to fork over more money to the elites.
Oh, you stink!
Which The Fall Guy coincidentally decides to tell this story at the same time that producers like Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy is under fire, having basically the whole world turn against them and memed upon, and a star actor like The Rock is accused of arriving to set 8 hours late every single day, costing the studio an extra $50 million. But don't worry, The Rock made it up for it by saving time during filming through not going on bathroom breaks, but instead peeing in water bottles in front of the crew.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
as the Fall Guy criticizes modern Hollywood through pointing out things like the poor writing habits we see today,
Yeah, that's definitely a case of me just not knowing what to do with the script.
the nihilistic messaging in all of the stories, the emotional insecurity of its actors, or the political grandstanding within the industry. Like we have a little scene there where Miss Producer Lady is trying to manipulate Emily Blunt by shifting the blame from herself onto toxic masculinity.
Wow.
That one's typically in the Hollywood playbook. But juxtaposing all of the Fall Guys criticisms toward modern movie against the story that they themselves are trying to deliver upon, making it even more apparent that the Fall Guy gets a lot of things right that is missing from modern movies today. It has strong lines between good and evil. It has clear heroes. It's optimistic and hopeful in its storytelling. Oh, and actually, right before the movie begins, David Leitch, who's the director of the movie, he and Ryan Gosling, they show gratitude towards the fans, giving a little bit of a thank you message that happens even before the movie begins. And most importantly of all, the movie's competent. It's clear that people put effort and time into this movie, and the people who did that were talented. The movie is competent. Because the biggest thing plaguing Hollywood right now is not giving enough care to the quality of the movie. Most movies are just banking on branding recognizability, the goodwill built up by other, more talented creators in the past to sell their product, and not put in the effort to make the story good enough to stand on its own. Because if we are to look at the major movies that are releasing this year, only 4 of them are not reboots or spin-offs or sequels, but instead we get a lot of repetitive recycling through. Let's see, we have Mean Girls, Madam Web, The First Omen, Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, Furiosa, Garfield, the John Wick spin-off Ballerina, Mufasa, The Lion King, A Quiet Place, Day One, Twisters, Borderlands, Wicked, Nosferatu, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, Kraven the Hunter, Transformers 1, the 7th Alien movie, the 9th Planet of the Apes movie, Rebel Moon Part 2, Inside Out 2, Beetlejuice 2, Dune Part 2, Joker 2, Smile 2, Gladiator 2, Deadpool 3, Venom 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Bad Boys 4, Despicable Me 4, Ghostbusters 5, and Saw 11.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
Now, to be fair, a sequel is not inherently lazy, because that would be kind of dumb to think that way so simplistically. And also, to be more fair, The Fall Guy is not an original idea. It's an adaptation of an 80s TV show. But as the original Fall Guy was not a mega franchise, The Fall Guy did not lean into brand recognition, but instead relied on its own merit to sell this movie. And hopefully they'll get rewarded for doing so, and communicate that audiences want a higher standard of quality in their movies than the cash grab sludge we've been getting as of late.
Thanks for watching
DUCKFINDER
on YouTube. For more premium content, subscribe.